great little poll here by Bloomberg on how people want to pay for the deficit and what they want to do with jobs, et cetera, right? Now, some very clear results from it. People are very, very concerned about jobs, more concerned about jobs than anything else, including the deficit. But deficit comes in, a little bit after job creation. So they say number one priority, job creation, and then getting a hold of the deficit. Now, how do you pay for getting a hold of the deficit while you're trying to create jobs? Because when asked in the poll, Americans say in large numbers, we understand that you have to spend more to create more jobs. So we're in favor of that. Now, when you ask them, do you want a middle-class tax increase to pay for this? They say, no, not really. Okay, now, of course, that's not surprising, right? When you get asked, hey, do you want to pay more taxes? Most times people say no, right? But they understand, and in fact, the expectation is they think that eventually they will, that they'll pay more in taxes to make up for the spending that's going on now. Whether they're comfortable with that is a different question, but at least that expectation is set. But here comes the interesting part. When they say, well, how about taxing the wealthy to pay for job creation spending? Are you in favor of that? They say, hell yeah. Unequivocal. Overwhelming majority of American people saying, yeah, go ahead, tax the wealthy. And when Bloomberg went and talked to some of the people that were respondents in the poll, they said, look, they still seem to be doing rather well. We're getting murdered out here, but the wealthy seems to be getting wealthier, and they seem to get more and more bonuses and payout and compensation. So it seems like they can handle it. So let's go ahead and tax them more. And then so that's the Bloomberg poll, and that's the Bloomberg reporting. Well, the funny part is when Bloomberg writes the article, they can't help themselves because they've got to be neutral, right? So then they come out and say, well, that seems to be contradictory because how can you have the more spending, but at the same time, they don't want a middle-class tax increase. I'm like, that's not contradictory. They told you how they want to pay for it. They want to tax the rich. They didn't stutter. Okay, it's very, very clear. Read the numbers. But it's like they're afraid to say it. I mean, okay, you said it, you explained it, you showed the numbers, though why is it not in your conclusion? The American people were entirely clear. Yeah, let's tax the rich. Now, look, I don't know, maybe the media is uncomfortable with that. Maybe Washington's uncomfortable with that, but the American people seem perfectly comfortable with it. And if you're a politician, you might want to listen to those guys. They're the ones who decide whether you go back into office or not. Now, I point that out partly because it's true. Obviously, these are interesting facts, and so I wanted to give that to you. The other reason isn't it amazing how far to the right our whole political spectrum is as opposed to where the American people are? I mean, the Republicans, the idea of taxing the wealthy, of course, is directly contradictory to everything they ever state. That's an anathema to them. They can't stand that idea. They think it's the worst idea in the world, right? Now, when you get to the Democrats, they're scared to death of taxing the wealthy. Yeah, now, look, Obama has to some degree, and he said he would tax the people making, over $250,000, increase their taxes by a little bit, and he did. But when you go to suggest, hey, maybe it's not enough because we had cut their taxes so damn low that it's just not working, right? When you go to suggest that, Democrats are like, I don't know what they're going to say, class warfare, I'm so scared. Hey, calm down, dude. You don't have to be scared. Look at the poll numbers. The people are behind you. Go get them. Now, look, I don't want to get to the point where it's about retribution and they made the money and we take it back. And who's they, Let's keep it real here. I mean, yes, some of the rich are the guys that were on Wall Street that crashed the system in the first place. Some of the rich are great American entrepreneurs, Bill Gates, your local small business owner, et cetera, doctors. It's not about retribution. For me, it's about where do we get the money, right? And we need it, and where is an optimal level of taxes? I don't want to overtax so then we discourage people creating new jobs, creating new businesses, et cetera. I want to help the economy. I don't want to hurt it, right? Don't buy into the Republican caricatures that they do of, oh, the Democrats, they just want to take the money or whatever. I almost wish that were the case, but it's not. It's not even close. And for our purposes, look, these level of taxes on the wealthiest Americans are apparently not enough. I mean, the middle class is getting crunched, and we have these giant deficits.